Okay, so for the pattern, the actual pattern, I've cast on 20 stitches for a child, and you'll need about 24 to 26 stitches for an adult. If your yarn is chunky and quite thick, then you could use 24 stitches. You could even try 22 if you find 24 just too wide, but 25 stitches for an adult is usually a good number. And because we need an even number of stitches, we're going with 20 for a child and 24 for an adult. Okay, so once you've cast on your stitches, we're going to do the knit and the purl stitch for the ribbing pattern. Now, the rib pattern usually is one knit, one purl, but for this fisherman stitch, we need to have a base of ribbed stitches on which we're going to do the actual fisherman stitch. So the first row, row 1, is going to be purl 1, knit 1, all the way to the end. Let's begin with purl. Yarn to the front, from the back to the front, needle up to down, around, and through the back, slip off the loop on the left needle, and there it is on your right. I used both the tails together, the yarn and the tail together, and I'll do that for the first few stitches just so that it helps weaving in the ends at the end of the project. So we've done our first purl 1 stitch, now on to our knit. Take the yarn to the back, and you're going to go from the front to the back, bottom to the top, so you have a cross with the needles, if you can see that. And then again, bring your yarn, I'm using both the tails, through the middle, catch the loop, and take off the old loop from the left hand needle. And now we've done our knit. So purl 1, knit 1, go back to the purl. Purl 1, whoops, through the back and off. Take your yarn to the back, and for the knit, from the front to the back, around, pull out the yarn and slip it off. So now I can let go of my tail and use only the yarn that's attached to the ball of yarn and carry on. I'm gonna do my knit, I think. Purl, knit, purl, knit. Now it's purl. So bring the yarn to the front. And carry it all the way to the end. Repeat the pattern. I'll meet you at the end. Okay, I've come to the last few stitches, so I'm going to do a knit, purl, oops, and knit. So you should end up, the last stitch should be a knit. And there, you've completed row 1. Row 2, it's going to be the fisherman stitch, where you're going to do purl 1 and then knit 1 below, and it's repeated all the way to the end. So let's begin. The first stitch is purl 1, purl the stitch, and now knit one below is you're going to go into the stitch, the knit stitch, if you can see that. Try to zoom, come closer here. It's this stitch right here. Let me try to get it to focus. There we go. It's this stitch right here. That is the stitch we made on the previous row. So that's the one you have to go into, and you're going to knit from that stitch. And you'll pull it through. Okay, I lost the loop. Let me try it again. There we go. And pull it through. And even though this one looks like you're gonna lose a stitch if you let go of it, don't worry, just take it off and let it hang there. So now, again, we're going to do a purl one. Bring the yarn to the front. We're going to do a purl. Okay. And now again for the knit one below, take the yarn to the back. And we're going to, this is the stitch we're going to go into. So the one below. And come through. Okay, here's my loop. I'm going to take it off. And I'm going to continue all the way to the end. Okay, so now I've come to the last 4 stitches, and because we had 2 yarns on all of them, I need to make sure that when I'm stitching those stitches, whether it's a knit or a purl, that I'm taking into account both the stitches. So here's my first purl stitch with the 2 yarns. So I'm taking both of them together, and I would pretend they're one. So there's my purl stitch, and if I can get closer, there we go. Now the knit, this is the stitch with the 2 yarn, both the yarn on it, but I need to get into the stitch below right here. For one below, knit one below, and when I pull it through, it's just a 1 yarn, and I'm going to drop off both the loops. Okay, and again bring my yarn to the front, do my purl stitch, take both off. For my final stitch, my knit stitch, I don't go in below, I have to go in and just knit it like a regular stitch with both the yarn together. And this is only for row 2 that you'll have that dilemma. So there we go. Now we've completed row 2. So let's go on to row 3. Switch your needles. The needle with all the stitches come onto your left hand, and here's your right hand needle. You would follow the same pattern, knit starting with a purl stitch, doing the fisherman stitch. So it's purl 1 and knit 1 below all the way to the end. Purl, knit 1 below, there we go again, and I follow through. So I'm going to continue working to the end of row 3. Here I am to the end of my row 3, and I have 2 stitches left on my left needle. Doing a purl stitch, I have the yarn in the front, and purl stitch, then my knit stitch, not 1 below, but just a regular knit stitch. Okay, that's the end of row 3. You can't really see it yet, but now all you have to do is continue. Like you would have determined the beginning of this project how long you wanted your scarf, and you're going to continue doing the fisherman's stitch with purl 1 and knit 1 below on all the rows up until the scarf measures 1/3 of the length that you had determined. So an adult scarf would usually be around 5 feet long, and if you divide the 5 feet into 3, you would know where to stop. So let's continue knitting this piece, the scarf. And you're going to keep going with the same rows and get to about row 5. Now we're on row 3. Do another 2 rows, and we're going to learn something that's very important, especially in stitches like the fisherman stitch or the cable stitches that you would do, which is lifelines. So let's go on to the next video, and I'll meet you at row 5. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe and like it to show your support. To work on this project with me, please go to the next video, Fisherman Scarf Project Lifelines.